I might have a war with it. I might have a war with it. But I know I'm built to win. But I know I'm built to win. I might have a war with it. I might have a war with it. But I know I'm built to win. But I know I'm built to win. Step up in this motherfucker looking clean in this. And this shit that's in my pocket, camo green in this. Keep it sharp just like a soldier, staying mean in this. Yeah, I took a couple L's, but I redeemed in this. Moving like a general, I got a team in this. Got the vision, got the hunger, got the scheme in this. And the pressure made a diamond, now I gleam in this. They was sleeping on the let them dream in this. I'm like Martin Luther King, I got a dream. Catch me scrolling through the paper, not the screen. Yeah, I made it out the mud, I'm so pristine. I know cash was everything, I'm rocking cream. Ain't no fatiguing, got no fear, ain't no retreating shit. I talk to God, but God is stick, okay, I'm keeping it. They say it's love, but when I bled, who I was bleeding with. I want peace, but if it's where it's M16s and shit. It's a war outside, but I ain't hiding from it. Got that PTSD, it's got me wired from it. Whole world on fire, somebody frying something. Leave them enemy lines, and now my pride. You see, I got this war within. Post like Satan, but live in sin. Need new tribe, but no new friends. I want love, but don't trust them. I got scars, don't rub it in. Leave that gym, that I hit that gin. I know lust like next of kin. Ain't platonic, we friends. Pray to God like free my soul. Mine can't rest, so I stay on go. Say I'm healed, but I still feel broke. Cut her off, then I check my phone. Cried last night, but I play like strong. Need my space, but I hate alone. Light is in me, dark too known. Wanna live like king, but I feel dethroned. Survival tactics when it's shaky. Lift myself by bootstraps daily. Got that tax and made it hate me. Land free, so why we slaving? PTSD coming phases. Wasn't banging, truth is hanging. General, I walk my cadence. My draft day, no registration.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the daily drops of Dexter Dewayne. My name is Dexter Dewayne. Let's get into it. Yep, we talk about the person who fears failure, the person who fears failure, the person that will not let fear of failure dictate their actions. I'm just hopping right into it today. We're not going to let the fear of failure dictate our actions. We need to understand that failure, any kind of failure, is simply a part of the journey, and that each failure teaches something necessary for any sort of level of success, right? So it's a lot easier to say that I do not want to try because I might fail. It's easier to say that, well, it's probably not going to work out, so let's just not do anything. I'll say this, and when people talk about success and failure, I just want to do a disclaimer. Success and failure does not necessarily mean money. People use money because it's easier to count, but success can be happy life, happy family, happy in your career. Failure could also mean your inability to commit to yourself. Could mean abandonment of your responsibilities. So success and failure do not necessarily equate monetarily, but it is something that people talk about, and like I said before, it's easier to count, so it's a better example. I say all that to say that money might not buy happiness, but poverty doesn't buy anything. So you don't have anything to lose. What do you have to lose, really? What do you have to lose? You can't allow the fear of failure to stop you from trying. There was an old quote I heard not too long ago. Actually, this was years ago. It was probably a decade ago at this point. And it was right before I decided to join the military, I was listening to, the compilations of motivational speakers. And I just remember this one dude said this one thing that it was the light switch for me. He said, I'm just going to go and I'm going to try it out. And if it doesn't work, I'll just go back to where I came from. I took that and I rolled with that with every aspect of my life. If it doesn't work out, I'll just go back to where I came from. What do you have to lose? So that's taking on failure and the fear of failure head on. But what about past failures? Do you allow your past failures to define your future? Did you try something before and it didn't work, so you said that this will never work? I talked before about the elephant that was tied to a stake with a rope that tried to get out before and it didn't work. And then what happened? It got older. And even though it had all of the strength, no doubt that it could pull and free itself from this particular situation, because this elephant failed before, it decided that it was no longer able to free itself. Even though the circumstances changed, the situation changed, everything about that environment has changed. But one thing that stayed the same was the thought that a past failure means a current failure. If it didn't work before, it won't work again. We tried it last time and it didn't work. So what makes you think it's going to work this time? A couple years back, one of the requirements for one of my jobs was to get a certification. And I am not the greatest test taker in the world. Like, I actually stumble when it comes down to tests. I don't like the idea of memorizing stuff. I don't know how to practice them. Like, me and test have not gotten along. But in order for me to continue doing the work that I was doing, I needed to pass this test. So I took the test and just hopped right in, and then I failed. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to try another test that's fairly similar, that meet the requirements. And I was just going to test again. And I failed, but I did do a little better that time. And I think I got up to maybe like 5 or 6 different testing appointments where I finally was able to get that certification. So it was the same test. I failed a few times, but I also passed the test. So what happened? Every time I took the test, I got a little bit more exposure to the situation. Every time I got a little nervous driving up there, putting my stuff in the locker that they had, because it's a proctored test. So someone's watching you take it, making sure that my pockets were empty, making sure, I'm sitting at this computer and I'm breathing in and out, just basically having like a panic attack, clicking through. It's like, oh, you failed. All right, cool. Well, that was the worst thing that I've ever experienced in my entire life. Let's run it back. So a couple of months later, I walk back in and I'm feeling a little bit better. I still failed, but I didn't fail as badly as I did before. And I don't feel as bad as I did before. So a couple months later, walk back in and I just kept doing this. And each time I walked in there, I started feeling a little bit more calm, a little bit more in control of the situation. And the day that I passed that test, I was mentally at a spot where I didn't care if I passed or failed. And I want you to catch that. I did not care whether or not I passed or failed. And that's when I passed this test. And the reason why I passed it is because my nerves no longer existed for this particular situation. I was not afraid to fail anymore. I had already failed. You know what I mean? Like, is this making sense? Like, I had already failed. I already lost. I don't have anything else to lose besides maybe a couple $100 for the test and maybe the time that it takes to take the test. But I had already lost. I already went through the feeling of failure. So there's nowhere else to go from here but up. Every time I failed, I saw it as a misstep. I saw it as a learning opportunity. And I continued to move forward every single time. Every day after I would take that test, I would go study a little bit more, learn a little bit more, retain a little bit more. And each time I would walk in that fear of failing would get smaller and smaller. So it's the exposure to failure that eliminates the fear of failure. Failure isn't really failure. It's just lessons learned. And take those lessons that are learned and don't think about them with regret or self-doubt. Think of them as opportunities to move forward. Let's get into the affirmations. I lend in a way that reflects who I am, honest, fair, and genuine. My actions will align with my values of integrity, kindness, and respect for others. I recognize that what I have comes from God. I will manage these resources responsibly, using them to glorify Him and to help others, not for selfish gain or pride. I commit to fair terms and clear communication, assuring no one feels taken advantage of or burdened by unnecessary expectations. My dealings will always reflect my beliefs in treating others with respect and fairness. I will lend with an open hand, knowing that generosity is an act of grace. I will release expectations and trust God to guide the outcomes, whether repayment comes or not. I will prayerfully consider every opportunity, seeking God's wisdom to make decisions that are not only helpful, but aligned with His purpose for my life and others. While I value accountability, I also understand the power of forgiveness and second chances. I will seek balance in my lending, offering help where it's needed, but remaining mindful of my boundaries and responsibilities. I lend not just to solve immediate problems, but to encourage growth, stability, and independence in others. My goal is to make a positive impact without creating dependency or harm. Through every decision, I will remain faithful to my values, my God, and my calling to be a light in this world. In Jesus' name, amen. We'll see you in the next one.